Alright, welcome back. It didn't take too long. Anyone that's actually noticed the clock, if you can see the clock, it hasn't actually taken that long to actually do the edits. Now, one of the most important things that you'll need to remember when editing in any program, music, video, whatever, is Control Z. Let's see if I can see. No, that's the wrong button. Oh, that's the function button. There we go. Right, I'm just trying to make my keyboard as bright as possible. So, Control Z are the best. Basically, what that does is that undoes the last option that you've just done, which is really helpful. So, for example, mask feather was that thingy. Let's edit and redo. I've forgotten what redo is because I never really use it. Control Shift Z. So if you want to ever do keyboard shortcuts, you can just go to edit and it'll tell you where they are. But Control Z is pretty much what you can mostly be needing in editing videos. Now let's change my keyboard back to what it was. Because you can make mistakes. I've made a couple mistakes in this one. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, say for example this one. I'm doing the editing and all that, and all of a sudden I do that. I was like, oh shit, okay. So Control Z does it right back to where it was, and then I can go back. Sometimes as well, the mask will want to flip or turn and stuff like that. So when something like that happens, Control Z, click away, and what have I done? I think I've now done too much. I might have screwed myself over. Oh no, I'm not too far back. Okay. Yeah, Control Z is nice and helpful to actually undo any mistakes that you've made. Another very important thing which I haven't done yet is to always save your project. Save as. Go to wherever your sources are, and then name your project file. I just leave it as projects and save it. It's always good to save it, because just now, as you just saw, I messed up when I'm trying to explain how not to mess up, how to fix a mess up. So right now I've got all my elements. They're all here in all these compositions here, and they're also in this one here to actually access them, and so on and so forth. So what I've done is I've done exactly the same thing for the drum track as I have for the vocals and guitar. In that I have created a composition, and you can see a little preview of what you've done here, where I have a full track, number 8, where it's just not edited at all, the audio is normal as it is, and it's just there, because I'll be using that audio as well. That's where things get a little tricky. Right. Now I've got all my elements. I am missing 2 elements, but I will get to them near the end because they're not that important at the moment. And those 2 elements are, what I do is on both videos, I will cut out this bit where it shows where name is, and then it will show, oops, too far. The level of difficulty and what instrument you've chosen, all that. I'll basically use another mask, or in this case maybe 2. No, I think I can use 1 mask here. I don't know, I haven't really done it for Vox drums before. No, I have once. Oh, I've done something different. Okay, never mind. But normally when I do normal video, I cut out this bit because it's just usually vocals, guitar and drums. Vocals and guitar in one video, drums in another video. And then what I would do is I'd have the vocals and guitar video, it'll have the guitar and vocals here. And I'll then just cut out the drums one and just plonk that in at the start and at the end as well to show the score when they all come up. With the Vox drums one that I've done before, where I had vocals, guitar, vocals, drums, but they're in 2 videos, so vocals and guitar on one, vocals and drums on the other. I think what I done was simply take this screen and just have both screens squished together instead of cutting out that and editing them, which I think the better thing because of the vocals. You can't overlay vocals on vocals, it looks the same. So I might just do that for the Vox drums. But yeah, that I might do a video on that. It's pretty straightforward. Basically, you cut out that using the mask method, and then you just got to animate the path. Yeah, I might do a quick bit at the end for that. Actually, no, I'll do that now. Seeing as I've got this saved, I'll quickly make a new composition because I'm not going to save this for this particular one. So to do that, basically you can leave the audio, it doesn't really matter because it's just going to get overlaid anyway. You do all the usual stuff, you get your layer, you get your mask out, blah blah blah. You then mask off where you want, making sure that it's at the start of the video or the start of wherever you want your footage. So you mask off all of that. Zoom in if you need to, you most likely will need to. Now here's the important part. Is you go down to the menu, go down to masks, mask 1, because you can have multiple masks, but we're only dealing with one mask per composition. It makes it nice and simple. And then you want to click mask path. Click that, and then you've got the little diamond thing there. And now anytime you move the mask, so say for example, there's another slider here as well, that's important, just skipping a bit. This is your time, so that's like frame by frame. And then the less it is, it's more a second by second, and then if it's long enough, minute by minute. So for example, we want this essentially as short as possible. So we take this whole bar, click at the end, drag it so that it's like minimal. And because you only want like the start with this composition, these compositions, is that you only want the start bit, you don't want the whole thing, because then your computer has to render all of that even though it's invisible after a while. And I'll show you the invisible bit later. So what we'll do is we'll get that when it shows, so make that so it's slowly showing and then goes away, and then once it goes away we'll bring that bar down. So it's like that. Okay, so anytime you move the mask, it creates another little diamond on the mask path. So that mask, for example, will go from say here all the way down to here on its own if you have in the timeline 2 points. So for example, we'll put this mask here, and now the first point was down here, and now if you watch the mask, as the time goes by, it will slowly go to where the next point is, which is really helpful because that's keyframing, I think it's called. So for example, we want that there, and then as it's lower here, we want that down here. Now we're zooming the timeline wise, and then I'll show you. So it's from here. Oh, what's going on? Alright, I've clicked into it. Okay. Right, so it's small now, and then you wanted the mask to follow the things, and then it goes up like that. Now naturally, obviously you want it to follow it a lot better, so you make sure you've revealed all that you want to at a certain point, so then the keyframing happens a lot quicker and sooner. I mean, you can do it frame by frame if you really want to, if you need to. I mean, like with the previous lightsaber videos I've done, I had to do it literally frame by frame because sometimes keyframing, it misses out a frame and then you've got something in there that you don't want, or something in there, you know, it's not being covered. So that looks alright. I mean, to be honest, this type of action happens so fast in the video as it is that you're not likely to notice there's a slight imperfections anyway. But, you know, you want it as smooth as possible, you want it to look like it's naturally in the game as best as possible. So yeah, you do that, and then obviously you feather it a little bit. These ones you don't actually feather that much because it looks better when it's sharp. Like I said, it's not like professional grade perfection. I mean, you can have it if you want. You can tinker with the feathering and how many points on the mask and make sure the mask is all perfect and everything. You can do that. It just takes time. There's no reason why you don't have to. You can if you want. So yeah, that's the first part. And then when they disappear, simply go to the frame. So that's there, and then that's gone. So when it's gone, you want to move this, not move it, drag it, because if you're moving it, you're just moving the whole thing. Drag it until you're at the frame where it disappears. So it disappears here, and then you drag it there. And as you can see, it no longer shows, so because there's no more bar for it to show. So that helps with getting rid of that without having to use the opacity thing. And now you can do the same for the end, where you show the score. It's a simple case of doing exactly the same thing, only instead of dragging it this way, you drag it to the right, and then you do your masking edits, and then you drag this little divot here to the start of the thing. So you'll need to create a second composition for this bit, and then when you do the massive composition where you have all the layers, you can then take this composition, shrink it down again, and then move it to where you need to. Instead of having this big massive bar all over the place, you have this small little divot, and it's a bit easier to manage. So that's the start and endings, and essentially how to do that. I'm not saving that, so comp 13 delete, yes, get rid of that. And what was the other thing? Opacity. Right, I will get to opacity because that is a part of the next part of the composition. So right, bit deviated, but you know, it's a bit of an explanation that will help. Right, you've got all your elements. You now need to get all your elements and put them all together, layered and layered, into one composition. Now, with these big videos that I've got, which has essentially two, I'm tinkered and trial and errored what size worked best for, especially when uploading to YouTube. And I found out that a width of 2000 and a height of 900 works the best. Frame rate, if you want the gameplay to look the smoothest, keep it at the gameplay frame rate, which is 59.94. If you want it to look best for the video footage, you do it to the video footage, but then your gameplay frame rate will suffer. Like you can see in the first video of my new batch of videos, that was set at 30 frames per second, so it wasn't even 29.97, it was 30 frames per second, so everything is reduced. Everything is that. So the video, the gameplay, looks a little juddery almost, and the video live footage just looks normal, whereas the other one, the second one after that, I left it at 59.94. The gameplay looks nice and smooth, and to be honest, the live action video footage doesn't look that much different. So we'll leave it at 59.94, and all that. The key thing with this, actually, I'll cancel that, is to make sure I know how long the biggest file is, and it turns out it's the second live action one at 4.59. So you want to make your new composition your 2000 by 900, oops, 900, 59.94 frames per second video. Might as well round it up to a nice 5 minutes, because you're going to be editing the length of the video anyway. So there's a new one, and now you just need to start plonking all the stuff down. Now here's the order I plonk it down. It's a similar order to what I've edited. So you've got comp 1, put it there, comp 2 here. This one you don't need to actually put it in the, drag it and drop it here. You can if you want to, but you're going to be moving stuff around anyway. Like for example, comp 2 now is at the bottom instead, comp 1 gets moved to the side, comp 2 gets moved a bit that way. Just want to like get so it's everything is in frame as best as possible. I think I filmed these a bit crappily, and that's a problem when you have your raw footage. It's always helpful to have a proper recording device, not like something like these goggles, because as you can see with the comp 1 is that I have all this space here which I could have cut out by angling the camera more that way, so I'd have more space here, because this is where I put the guitar track. But I've had a little workaround of that, how to do that, so everything's a bit squashed, but that should do. I mean, you use your own judgment, and it should be alright. So comp 3, we don't want to add comp 3 yet. Comp 3 is the audio of the vocals and guitar, and comp 8 is the vocals and drums in this instance. We don't want to add those yet. We'll add those last. So the next one is comp 4, the guitar track, and there it is. So move that into whatever position you want, and then you reshape it slightly so that it's not actually cutting me off. And then I need to move that. So you always a little bit adjusting here and there. And if you want to select a layer that you can't see where the box is, always click the little thing down here, and then you can move it wherever you want. So that will have to do. Comp 5 is the vocal track. Now I've got 2 vocal tracks, so I'll put that there. Yeah, that'll do, as is. Comp 6 is the score. Score I'll put above the guitar track. Comp 7 is the gauge. I'll put that there. And now 8 is the drums. The 9 we want the drum track. 9 we want the drum track. What's happened? There we go. Drum track, make it a bit narrower, a bit taller, just so it fits in. There we go, and we got the singing track as well. So now we got a problem because the 2 singing tracks are now overlapping. So what we do is we simply change the shape so that they do fit. Now, which one's the singing track? 5. 5 is here. No, we don't want to move it, we want to just stretch it a bit, make it a little taller, make it a bit narrower, just so it fits. And it does get a bit tricky when you have all these boxes everywhere and you can't tell which one's which. So that goes there, and this one goes here. Yeah, that's good enough. That's fine. What are we up to? We're up to 10. Alright, we need 11, which is the score. Put that above the drum track as well. Yeah, why not? That's the beauty of this. You can put anything anywhere you want. You don't need to put. You don't have to put the stuff here. Now I put the gauge, energy gauge, on the right hand side. So now we've got like 2 there. It does look a bit weird actually with the drum track not as tall as the guitar track, but yeah, otherwise it looked too weird. But yeah, you can mix and match, symmetrical, asymmetrical, do whatever you need or want. So now we've got all our elements, all our main elements in there. Save it. Always save it. Now comes the tricky part the tricky part is to sync it all together. Now what you need to do is you need to sync the excuse me. That's about. You need to sync the gameplay footage from the one recording to the gameplay footage of the other. Now, all the elements on this side, because it's essentially 2 sides, all the elements on this side are already synced to each other. So you got the vocals, the score, the gauge, and the guitar track. That's already synced to each themselves. They are not yet synced to the live action video. and likewise on the other side. And then how you make sure they're all synced is you can check out all the layers here, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all the same length, and they're all in sync with each other. And then it's a matter of syncing that to that. And then how you do that is you select one part, which is most likely the drum track and the guitar track, and then you move that around on here until it's in sync. And this is where Control Z comes in handy quite a lot. This is also where composition 3 and composition 8 can come in handy. Now before you do anything with these, you just have these roughly out like this, so you've got a better idea of how to sync them in, because the last elements you want to sync together are the live action to the gameplay. The gameplay is the most important one first, because that's where the audio is as well. And then the live action, you can move that around whenever you want and all that, like that. As you can see, I'm juddering around like a nutter. So yeah, get comp 3 in there roughly, and comp 8, and then this is another reason why you have your source folder open. So you open up your source folder files, and you want to, hopefully when you record your gameplay footage it doesn't turn out like mine for some reason, which is only a quarter of the screen. What you want to do, if that doesn't work, is what I used to do: go to YouTube, find the video that you've just done. Someone would have done a full band version of it, so this is, you've got it. Roy Orbison expert full band. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. So here's a full band one, gold full band. So you likely, and the reason why you want to look at these videos is because all the elements are already in there, because it's just one big video. It's all like the 4 people or audition mode all playing at the same time. No editing has actually gone on here. So then everything is in sync already. So you use this as a template, and then you typically want to use the start. So that happens pretty fast. So you go back, and in the game you got these bars that go across tracks. You want to like line those up, so everything here happens at the same time, because you've got drums, guitar and bass, and so what we're looking at are the drums and guitar. Oops. And once I line those up using comps 3 and 8 in the project file, then I can move all the elements to the video. So that tells me that they happen at the same time, so we minimize that because we'll keep that as a reference. So then we want to go to the timeline here until that happens, and move them over. Now you want to select one of the 2 sides as your base. You either want to have the guitar as your the stationary one, the anchor, and you want to move the drums to match the drums, or you can do the drums as your anchor and move the guitar. Now with the previous video that I'd done last night, which took forever to actually sync up, I was using the guitar as the anchor and I was shifting around the drums and it wasn't working. For some reason it just wasn't working. And then I anchored the drums, so I used the drums as an anchor and shifted the guitar a little bit, and then it started working. And it's just like, that's weird, because it shouldn't make a difference because they're both doing the same thing, but you know, weird things happen. So normally I use the left hand side as the anchor and I move the right hand side. So once you've done all that, you use the timeline, scrub through until you get the start of the song. So here's the start of that, and comp 8 will move that along until that happens at the same time, which is here. Move that back a bit. Zoom in as much as possible, so you go frame by frame. and sometimes you want to keep an eye on the gems. In this particular instance with Rock Band, I mean, like with other videos, it might be something different, but in this instance you want to, sometimes you look at the gems, but most of the time it's better to look at the line, because sometimes the gems activate either before or after the line unintentionally. It's just part of the code or something. So that looks about right, and then because that's already activated but the line hasn't crossed, so the line hasn't crossed here. So that's kind of close. And then you just trial and error it until you've got it all synced up. And once you've got these two synced up, once that's all synced up, I don't know if it's synced up yet, but once it's all synced up, you then go to this side where you've got a little eye on comps 3 and 8. You click those and it makes them invisible. They're still there, but it makes them invisible. And then you minimize this to minimum possible, I suppose. And then comp 3 is the guitar, so that's your anchor. So you want to make sure that that's the same as the other guitar and vocal stuffs, which it should be. And the way how you do that is you click at the end or at the start, or I suppose in this case at the end. Zoom right in and make sure they are all in line, and they all are. And then with the drums, you go to wherever comp 8 is on the timeline, zoom right in, put the marker there, so you got the red line there, zoom out a little, and then move, not drag, but move the others until they are in line. And you just do it roughly first when you're zoomed out, because you might need to, and then you zoom in and then precision it like so. Oops, see, that was dragging, this is moving, and now they're all lined up, so that puts in sync the rest of the video, essentially that part. And then you do the similar thing with the video track. The tricky part with the video track is now that's running at twice the amount of frames as it normally is. So when you zoom right in, an action happens on the video over 2 frames instead of over 1. So while 1 frame moves the drum track, as you can see here, it takes 2 frames to move the video track. And that's where slight syncing issues will happen between gameplay and live action. So it's always best, I mean, if you're doing these types of recordings and you've got budget equipment like what I've got, it'll do for now. It's not perfectly great, but if you are looking to buy equipment, try and make sure that you've got equipment that records at the same speed as your gameplay footage, which is 59.97 frames per second in this case. Then it's just a matter of finding a part in the video that you can identify what's happening on the gameplay to what's happening on the video footage. And that again is usually at the start of the songs. So for example, oh, right at the start, that's good. Zoom in a little, not all the way, but a little, until you get to where the first hit happens. Oh. Which is here. And then these gems only activate when you've hit the appropriate thing. So that's happened. So we'll leave that there, and now you want to select the live action footage, which in this case is comp 2, which is this guy here. And then you scrub through until that happens. Now, for reference, if you want to know what you were doing or what the person was doing before that hit happened, because especially at the start, it kind of helps. So you go back to your source folder, you then scrub through to where the start was. You see essentially what you were doing, so you can see what actions, what body position you were in. So I was hitting the symbol first, and then I hit that. Get rid of that. So I want to scrub through until I see myself hitting the symbols there, which I am there. Oh, no, that's too far. Okay, so it should be around about here. Zoom in a little on the time scale. No. Something on my arm. Okay, here we go. So I'm not doing anything now. I'm hitting it there, and now I'm about to hit this one here. Okay, so zoom right in, all the way in, and you want to do this frame by frame, and then you want to make sure you get it so that the hit actually happens. So you see that? So before, nothing, and now there's a hit. So you leave that as is, and then you double check using the red line scrubbing, where everything should happen at the same time. And that's pretty close. Yeah, that'll do. Dance for me, dance. So yeah, that's how you sync it up. That's how I sync it up anyway. There might be some shortcut cheat, I don't know. But yeah, so by now you would have synced up both gameplays to each other, and now you would have synced up the live action to its appropriate gameplay. So let's get this one done. This is all roughly done. I'll have to tweak it, make sure it's all good, but this is all roughly done at the moment. So I want to get the guitar one done. It's a bit more tricky because my thumb on the strum bar of the guitar is out of frame, which is what I usually used to use as an indication of when I hit it and my thumb's on it and down, this happens, and that's how I know it's in sync. But like I said, you got to be careful when you're doing your raw video recordings. So go back to make sure when that happens, which is pretty much the same time as, well, it's just before that, and this video footage starts a bit sooner. Oh. The reason why I'm going through all... Oh, hang on. That might be it. Somewhere around there. If I can't use the guitar, because I do mostly Voxstar, I will try and use the vocals. I'll have to zoom out a little for that. Which means having to stare at my own ugly mug and see what kind of mouth gestures and shit I'm doing. So there's the start of the song, singing wise. Doesn't look like I'm in sync there. No, I don't think I'm in sync there. But to make this video a little shorter, I'm not going to do all the tinkering and all that. So at some point you'll get gameplay to gameplay synced up and gameplay to live action synced up. Right, now after you've done all that, and obviously you got your two intro and endings, you want to get your audio back in. So at the start of the video, this is where opacity comes in. Start of the video, you bring back the two compositions. Now in this case I will use the two as two individual screens, so I'll have to stretch them a little and squish them a bit. Like I said, this is still all rough. I'll actually do it kind of properly. Well, not much different, to be honest, when I do it. So yeah, that'll do. But normally what I do is I take the guitar one and full screen it across, and then I take the cut out ones of these that I mentioned earlier and plonk it in and resize it so it's kind of the same shape, and then whatever point in time in the video when these disappear, that is when I make that the cutout one disappear as well, which is why I wanted it as a separate composition from all the rest. And likewise at the end I'll just add it in, so they're a bit what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but you can use them in that way. So right now these are both in sync, even though they don't look like they're in sync, so don't move those on the timeline. And then you want to find an approximation of where you want to start your video, and then you move this bar here, your workspace, to wherever you want to start your render, and then likewise wherever you want to end the video. So you probably want to end it about here. So you drag that in. This is now your workspace. Anything between these 2 points, when you go to render, that is what will be rendered. The stuff outside it won't be rendered. So that's quite helpful. What I used to do in the past was actually figure out how big I needed it to be, and then make a new composition and only make it that big and then put that in. That's an extra step I didn't need to do. Just do this and it's a lot quicker. So that then makes it how big in terms of time your video will be. The opacity thing. Right, we go to the start of the video. We go to where the video loads up. So say about here. About here. Zoom right in. We then click down on the down arrow here. Go to transform. Click the stopwatch on opacity, and then just jiggle it until it's like down to 0 and then back up to 100, and then do the same for comp 3, just to make sure that you've got your little diamond that shows up here. And then you go forwards with the time, as far forward as you want to, but not too far. So say about here. Go to about here or so. Wherever you want, as long as it's before like the gameplay. Like this is a good indication of when to stop. And then you want to set the opacity just down to 0 on both, and that will make your composition, those two compositions, fade out very slowly. In this instance, you could make it faster, you can make it slower, it's up to you. And then you do the reverse at the end. So you go to the end of the song is finished, and go to opacity, do the little jiggle, and then it's back down to 0, so you've got a little diamond there. And then wherever you want to make it back 100%, so I know, say there, just make it back 100%, and then that makes the edited video, like all the layers, all then fade out. Oh, let's zoom in a bit time wise. I feel like I'm a bit monotone with my talking in this one. It's a bit of a long video, probably longer than I intended. But yeah, there you go. So that's your opacity done. So everything covered so far is creating your elements, making sure you only have specific compositions that have the audio. In this case it's the two big ones that are invisible throughout the whole thing, but you can still hear them. Layer them as in any way you want, in any not platform, something, any way you want, plonk it down wherever you want, syncing it all up, add in essentially your fade in, fade out intros and endings, add your additional cutouts of these if you want to, or in this case it's just a case of having them both up and down, and once you've done all that, you've essentially finished editing. Now you need to render it, and this is what takes the longest. Now the editing should take I don't know, say about an hour maybe, depending on experience and how often you've done it. I mean, like the short ones, which was just me on Voxstar, was just video footage and gameplay footage, and it was really quick. It took 20 minutes to edit. But yesterday I done one of these, and it wasn't Vox drums, it was just normal drums, and it took me a good, I think about 50 minutes to an hour to actually edit the first edit, and then it wasn't synced out properly, but I didn't find out until I rendered the whole thing. So that's annoying. Here's a tip. Go to new composition, make a new composition of exactly the same size, but make the duration 10 seconds. 10 seconds flat. Let's go to OK, then you drag your comp into that, like so. You then scrub through until you've got appropriate time, somewhere near the start of the actual song. Oh, too far. So let's see. We want to say about here. So that gives you 10 seconds of video to test to see if everything is in sync or not. Then you want to obviously save. We always need to save now and then. Go to composition, go to add to render queue, and now it's down here, and then here click the lossless, because it's output module. Audio output, always make sure you have that clicked. Format. Now originally I done it on the H.264 format, which apparently is supposed to be the best for YouTube, but my files were coming out like gargantuan size, massive, like gigabytes, and it's just like, no, I can't be having that. And then I looked it up, and apparently the best one for compression straight away is QuickTime, but I have been told that there are way better programs to compress your files and you don't lose any quality or audio or anything like that, which I still need to use, to be honest. So I suppose you could render it in the H.264 and then compress it in the other program, or probably run it through QuickTime and then compress it again, but for now I use QuickTime. Format options, video codec is still the H.264, so it's still pretty decent. Basic settings, the quality I set to about half, because you know, the bigger it is, the bigger the file is going to be, and you know, run out of computer space as fast as you can make videos. Everything else just stays the same, whatever it usually is. There, let's see, we've got included project link is ticked. I'm not sure what that does. Video output ticked. Channels RGB. Depth of color, millions of colors. Color pre-multiplied matids, whatever that means. Audio output ticked. 48 kilohertz. Sorry. 16-bit and stereo. Format options are that. Audio codec uncompressed. That's the settings. Click OK. So then that's done. Output 2, click that. Now you want to put this wherever you want, but I put it in the source folder, and then have it as comp, whatever number it is, test, because it is a test. Save, go to file, save the project again, and then you click render, let it do its thing, and it shouldn't take too long. It should take about, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe, to render the whole thing. It'll render it, and then you play it in your source folder when it comes up. See if everything is in sync. If something seems out of sync, then essentially you'll have to go back to your comp where everything's all here, and tinker with it, see which if it's the drum track or if it's the guitar track. Now the beauty of having just 2 audio tracks on 2 comps is that you only need to move one of those. But whichever one you move, you need to move all the rest of the files that are with it. So if you're moving the drums, the drum track, then you need to move all the drum track videos, including the live action as well. Even if it's 1 frame or 2 frames, you need to shift everything with it so it all looks in sync as well as sounds in sync. And then once you've got it, I mean, if you're doing it like at high level professional grade, needs to be dead on in sync, then you'd probably have better recording footage and stuff, and you'd be able to pinpoint it exactly. Some of my edits are not directly in sync 100%. They're like 99.9% in sync. There is that slight delay, but it's not noticeable enough to be like, oh, that's annoying, I can't listen to that. It's almost noticeable to say, oh, it feels like I'm listening to it live, almost. Yeah. So it can work out. So once you've done your test renders, I mean, like, keep all your test renders until you're satisfied, so then you can see which ones have worked the best. And then once you're satisfied with it, then you create a new, no, you don't create no, you go to your layered one, composition, add to render queue, same all settings, audio, always make sure you click the audio. I use QuickTime, you probably use something else, save wherever, so save, but you call this one comp whatever it is, full render. And then you click render, and then that will take hours. For me it takes hours anyway. You might have a faster computer, better machine for editing, but that's it. Once you click render, you let it get it on with it, you minimize, you try not to use anything else on your computer. I suppose you can watch videos. I wouldn't advise playing games. Maybe World of Warcraft, I don't know. But yeah, that's essentially a very long-winded how I edit my videos now, as compared to the last time when it was a case of video camcorder and then multiple audio files using WavePad and then layering it all. This is a bit more polished and a bit more professional. Still not best quality, but it's good. I mean, like, let me show you the latest one I've done. I mean, if you've seen my other videos on YouTube anyway, you would have already watched this, but this is a case of oh wait, hang on, is that the full render? Oh yeah, it's full render. So you can see the opacity working there. Actually no, let's not use this one. That doesn't show the full blah 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 blah. Let's use old time rock and roll, I think. Yeah, here we go. Alright, let's pause that. As you can see, the final product is that you got your stretched out, but you also got the drums here. So you got the original, and then you got the drums. Yep. So that just comes in, disappears, and then the video itself will fade out. And the composition comes back. I've done a little trick thing here where I tried to get the slide in, but it wasn't really fast enough, I don't think. And yeah. And then at the end as well. If it'll play. I always have trouble with QuickTime. It tends like not to work sometimes. Play it. There we go. At the end. Fade out. And scores. There we go. So yeah, that's essentially a finished product. With this particular batch, I don't know if you noticed, but well, you probably did notice, I got this like blotch here. So where I recorded with the raw footage, I recorded it too early in the day, it was too bright, and I haven't got dark curtains. So this was like essentially blocking out everything, so I had to tinker around with the lighting levels and all that in After Effects, which you can do. You go to let's click a layer, go to Effect, Color Correction, I think it was, Brightness and Contrast, and then I increase the brightness of the overall video, and then I where is it? Color Correction. I done something, color balance maybe, channel mixer, color. I done something to it, and to be honest, it still looks a bit pants because now I've got this big grey blotch there instead. So yeah, lesson learned. Always be aware of what time you're recording. Always be aware of lighting levels. Everyone always tells you it. It's true. Always be aware of the lighting when you are doing your recordings. So get rid of that. And yeah, so I hope that helps anyone that actually stayed through the long ass video that this is. Go forth, edit, and make some awesome videos. Till next time.